friends. So I wanted to go over Pathfinder Kingmaker, a couple different things about the options that you have for the game. And then in later videos, what I'm going to do is I'm going to discuss character creation and game difficulty, a couple different things there. But I first wanted to start with the game controls because usually you just click through these. They're not really that important. But here there are a couple of things that are game changers. So I wanted to go over those with you. So first, we're going to go ahead and take a look. Game settings, obviously you're going to choose your default language, and then I have game stats and save games setting to the devs checked because this game is a little bit buggy still. It's still in development, and they need to know as much information as possible. So if you feel comfortable doing that, I highly recommend it. I have AI doesn't use expendable spells because if they fire them off, you're probably in trouble if you need to save them for a later date. There's not a whole lot of resting in the game, not as much resting as there is in tabletop D&D. And then with action bar slots autofill, personally they just throw them on in there wherever and it drives me nuts and I don't like it. So I have that turned off. I have enable looting during combat turned off because you can't do anything with the items that you loot and you waste movement getting. I have these set to default, the save settings, where when you enter an area, it'll just autosave, leave it as is. All of this is default, including simplified spell descriptions, which is it's exactly what it says. They dumb it down just a little bit because they can get a little bit complex. And then the most important part of the video is autopause. It's briefly covered in the tutorial in the game itself, but I didn't understand in my first playthrough exactly the impact. So when I came across my first 3 versus 3 fight, I got rolled before I even got a chance to select my spells that I was planning on using. So I wanted to go over the selections that I have made. If you wanted to do more, you can, but it can get obnoxiously turn-based if you go a little bit too crazy with it. So what I have chosen is pause when a trap is detected. All that does is you get a chance to decide who deactivates the trap, or who tries to deactivate the trap, I should say. I have pause on combat start, so you get a chance to position your characters and to bust out the first couple of spells that you want to use. And then pause at the end of each round. This is what I was missing in the tutorial. It automatically pauses once all of your characters and all of the enemies have taken a turn. That way you have a chance to set up your next turn, as opposed to having it happen in real time, which is what the default is. And it's awful. I have pause when spellcasting is interrupted selected for my party, because if you get interrupted, I'm not even sure if you get a chance to use the spell slot again or if it's just wasted. But just in case, I like to pause there. I don't have pause when an ally is down checked because trust me, you'll know because they will be yelling at you. I do have pause when an enemy is down checked, however, because if you have characters that have selected that enemy and are going to be firing at him in later in the turn, those are going to be wasted. So I recommend checking that. And then pause when the party member has low HP. Again, they'll let you know because they'll be screaming, but this is your last-ditch effort to get a potion into them or fire off a healing spell. And then the rest I have just unchecked because there's such a thing as too much pausing. And then special options, I just left all of these unchecked. They're flavor items, so you can have critters instead of blood, or you can feed the critters, and I just wanted to play the base game. Controls, this is all default. It's your basic gaming stuff. You know all about this. And then these are all of your keybinds. The only ones, like everything else is pretty self-explanatory, first of all, and then they're usually mapped to the first letter of the word, so it makes sense. You've got your journal, your map. Camp doesn't make sense, but okay. And then I wanted to talk about quick save. Quick save is so important because, like I said, the game is a little bit buggy. Sometimes if you finish combat and then something happens and the game crashes and then you have to redo it. So I had to do that yesterday and I was pretty salty about it. Like I had to take a minute and just be like, so highly recommend hitting your F5 key whenever you get a chance. And then all of this is just default. Nobody really cares about this. Like it's easier to click on the game itself than to do like an alt number combination. You can hit keys for dialogue, but again, it's easier to click. And then same thing with the action stuff, which is, ooh, you know what? This is so far down here, I've never noticed this before, so this is good to know. I would have put kingdom controls above all of this anyway. So those are just your keybinds for your kingdom stuff. And then graphics, I do have a couple things different from the default, and I have well, display 0 because I have 2 monitors, so I like to game on my right monitor with everything else on my left. And I have it set to windowed, which is a pretty uncommon setting for most gamers, I think. But like I said, this game tends to be a little bit buggy and a little bit crashy, so sometimes it will freeze and I can't leave the screen. So I have it set to window so I can just flip back and forth between my monitors with no problem. Everything here, this is all down to what your graphics card can handle. It is a little bit of a high graphics game, so I would recommend keeping it on as high as you possibly can. Then the rest you just leave. And then again, I don't have this set to default. I hate super loud game sound. And then I also have it, because I usually stream this game, so I usually have it set to a lot lower than most people would. But I have it set in OBS to be a little bit louder for my listeners. And that is it. That is a quick slide through the game settings. Most important, like I said, F5 to quick save and auto pause selections so you don't get completely rolled before you have a chance to blink. So I hope you liked the video. If you did, awesome. Go ahead and comment below, like and subscribe, blah blah, you know the drill. So you guys have an awesome day and thank you so much for watching.